thanks everybody for joining. I'm thinking that this one will probably be a quick one, as we just got through the ACC Toka launch, which went pretty well. There was probably a few little tweaks that we had to do. I know there was one front end bug that was front end only that I think was displaying your ACC Toka amount deposit in a duplicate form, but we squashed that bug relatively quickly. But if there's any other sort of UI front end bugs, be sure to drop it in the chat. We'll take care of them. So I think because we're approaching the holiday season. I think I hope everybody has a good holiday. But the next State of the Reactor will probably be in early January. We'll be working the next few weeks, obviously, but there'll be some team members that are going to be offline for different days as we enter the holiday season. So once we get that State of the Reactor scheduled, we'll obviously announce it in the Discord. Okay, and then next, for a little bit of housekeeping, Dan's going to talk about some changes that we're making to the Git book.
Yeah. So, I guess on the comm side of things, there's been a pretty strong focus on improving the onboarding process for new pilots. By that, I mean just how easy it is to get up to speed with, Tokemak's mission and mechanics and how everything works, so that new users can start participating in our community. And so the first step of this is doing a full overhaul on the Git book or docs to improve the flow and readability. And so we're making good progress on that, and we're excited to get that out as soon as it's complete and get some feedback from you guys. So I think, this will set us up to start onboarding some new community members in Q1 once we get back from holidays.
Yeah, and the flow, Dan's already done a good job doing a draft of reorganizing the Git book, and it's looking better in terms of the way that the docs sort of flow, in terms of understanding, the basic things that you need to know before diving into Tokemak, before diving into the more complex stuff. So that should be a nice little update. Next, I think Carson's going to briefly mention the V2 stuff that's happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of work going on right now to sort of spec out V2 so we can get to building. That's obviously post ACC Toka launch, what the team is now building towards and looking forward to. A lot that we'll be sharing in the near future. I'll give you sort of one tidbit here. One of the things that we're exploring that we think is a pretty interesting feature here is, if you look back at sort of Tokemak V1 or original Tokemak, it allowed people from a liquidity perspective to sort of move asymmetric. So if you wanted to deploy A and B liquidity, so like S and X ETH liquidity or whatever, now you only needed to have one of those tokens, not 50-50 or whatever ratio of the two. That was sort of done on the liquidity side. We're now exploring what asymmetric risk could look like. So in addition to having like the ability to provide asymmetric liquidity, but still have Tokemak manage the deployments, we can now allow people that would be interested in specific risk or specific sort of directional IL. We're exploring having that be a feature in V2 as well, which is pretty interesting. So a lot more to share in the near future and in the new year. And yeah, excited for V2 or Tokemak 2.0. We'll figure out exactly what we call it alongside building it here, but all of this is going to be coming in 2023.
Yep, great. So the next few weeks will be a lot of continuation of scoping this stuff, and obviously we want to start getting this information out, but until we sort of finalize some things, we don't want to start revealing details that might change. So expect more info as over the next few weeks, I guess, into Q1, as we start building this stuff out and we get to a place where we can start releasing information. And with that, I'll probably leave it to Sharp and Bruno to talk a little bit about the positive effects of ACC Toka and what's going on with that so far.
Yeah, we've been pretty exciting just monitoring the migration for ACC. And it was awesome to see that the first cap filled just immediately. And also interesting to see that ACC lockers were willing to get a slightly lower APR in WETH versus Toke. Then the second one also nearly filled, and then as expected, we reached the plateau on the third cap. Now, what's important to understand is that as the ACC rewards increase according to the schedule shared with the community, the APR will also continuously increase within this plateau. So people will be progressively incentivized just to migrate to ACC. And why is this important to the protocol? Well, this leads to large savings in emissions. And at the end of the schedule, this represents nearly a 50% decrease, which everyone probably noticed by now on the LD side of the APR. So ultimately, we will see more LDs migrating to ACC, and this also introduces exogenous and non-correlated rewards to the system, which creates more resilience. So think we'll just share ACC and share this enthusiasm, and we also got a grasp of what's the amount of active token that exists in the system, and so far it has been a great success.
Yeah, there's not much to add to that, except yeah, I'm also like very excited to see just like kind of the numbers as like people move over, and then which gives like a whole bunch of information in terms of like Manuel mentioned, like the kind of like, so to speak, the active LDs, sorry, and also gives like great insight into like what kind of where the limit is like on rewards where people like start to move and whatnot. So it's like a lot of interesting data points on that end.
Yeah, and we wanted to have short locks so that people can migrate between ACC and the LD side. And it's also very interesting to notice that most of the locks were for the max period, which is pretty reasonable given that it's simply 4 cycles. That's also a cool observation from what we were able to gather in terms of ACC lockers.
Cool. Yeah, that kind of that's kind of the main bullet points we have. I know Sharp. The plan was to get out a Twitter thread soon, right? Based off of Sam's report that he gave. What do you know?
Yeah. I already wrote that out, and we're just finalizing a few details, but we're basically ready to share it, just so that everyone can take a look at it on Twitter. It's very digestible, very summarized, and I think that it's a concise way of sharing Sam's great work with the rest of the community.
Cool.
We want to leave the
Awesome.
Discord in the chamber.
Yeah, so I assume that we'll be getting that out pretty shortly. The other thing that probably most people saw either in Discord or on Twitter is that Smuggler Radio's out. I don't think we have internet, Paul, on this one, but it's probably my favorite radio yet. So for any of you that have time over the holidays, tune into that one. It's pretty cool. You can access it the same way the normal radios are accessed.
I think that one is consensual, and I've been listening to it for a long while now, and I don't get tired of it, so that must say something.
Yeah, it seems to be an easier one to like work, or like to listen to while you work, I feel like, than some of the other ones. I like it. So.
It's great for background music.
That's right. Cool. Anything else? Anyone on the team? This one was a little bit shorter.
No, I would just urge everyone that's listening to keep track of the APRs on the ACC side. It will be interesting if we see that this plateau prolongs itself, because it just means that ACC lockers will earn larger APRs as we progress on the schedule. And as an ACC locker, you actually want that to happen. You want people not to immediately migrate. For us, it's kind of the same thing because the emissions will decrease accordingly. It just entails that people that remain on the LD side and are not balancing to the AC side, they might be underpaid, but that's a decision that each single user must make for themselves.
Yep, great point. Definitely a lot more things to sort of keep an eye on for options for users to plug into using their Toko on the website. So Great. Well, I think if there isn't, I can throw it back to you, Ed. But if there isn't anything, just wanted to say happy holidays too to everyone. It's been one hell of a year. Not always, not always great in terms of the DeFi and crypto ecosystem at large. But 2023 is just about here, around the corner, and I think a lot more interesting things will be in store. And I know the stuff that we're building at Tokemak, I'm super excited about. So. Enjoy the holidays, refresh, get away from Twitter and stuff a little bit if you can, get with family and friends, and then let's get back and have a good 2023.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. A lot to look forward to. Hope everybody has a great holiday season, and we'll still be in the Discord, and then we'll be back with the State of the Reactor in January. Talk more about V2. So thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.